My in-laws are trying to claim my baby as theirs, making sure they call themselves mom and dad when they are around us, and now I'm wrong according to my husband because I don't want to move in with them and want boundaries. Posted by u/public_edge6210. Me, 30F, and my husband, 31M, have been married for almost 3 years and have an 8-month-old baby boy. Ours was an arranged marriage, and I genuinely got lucky. My husband is kind, supportive, and very understanding. My husband is the eldest of 3 sons. His 2 younger brothers live abroad. Since my in-laws don't have a daughter, they treated me very well from the beginning, and overall they are good people. This makes the situation harder for me. The issue started after my son was born. During the first few months postpartum, I stayed with my parents and then with my in-laws. At first, I ignored small things, assuming they were just excited grandparents. But over time, certain behaviors started bothering me. They would refer to themselves as father and mother when talking to my baby, in our native language. When my baby cried or needed to sleep, my Phil would ask my Mel to comfort him instead of letting me do it. Sometimes they wouldn't give my baby to me when he was crying or would take him from my arms saying they would try to calm him. I felt invisible but stayed quiet, thinking it might just be postpartum hormones. After we moved to the city where my husband works, it got worse. We video call them daily. Whenever my baby cries, my Phil says things like our baby is sad because he's missing us or that the baby is all alone there, even though he's with his parents. He has joked that the baby might be bored of seeing only my husband's and my face. It often feels like they see my baby as their child and us as caretakers. They also constantly insist the baby looks only like their side of the family and dismiss any resemblance to me, even in obvious cases. My husband noticed this too and admitted it bothered him. He corrected his father once, but it didn't stop. Eventually, I started correcting my Phil every time he called himself dad, and he finally stopped. They visited us twice after we moved, and both visits were extremely stressful due to constant boundary crossing and comments about our parenting. Recently, the main conflict happened. We can't visit our hometown often because my husband gets only 4 days off a month. Now my in-laws want us to quit our jobs and move permanently into their home so they can be close to the baby. I work from home but only from our current location, not my hometown. More importantly, based on their current behavior, I don't feel comfortable living with them. My Phil frequently comments that we don't feed the baby on time, that the baby is unhappy, lonely, and has to play alone. I told my husband I'm not comfortable living with them because I feel they won't allow us to raise our son the way we choose. My husband agrees and plans to have a serious conversation with his father to set boundaries and clearly state that this is our child. However, my husband is also worried because his parents would be alone, as his brothers live abroad. Apart from these issues, they have been good to me, and I don't want to damage the relationship. Am I a jerk for refusing to move in with my in-laws and for wanting firm boundaries around my baby, even if it hurts their feelings? Commenter, why should you quit your job? Their loneliness is not your burden to bear. If they want to be closer to their grandchildren, they can move closer. If they want more involvement, then they must follow your rules. None of the above requires you to move or quit your jobs. If you do that, or move in with them, you are suddenly fully at their mercy. Completely, do not do that under any circumstance. OP, yes, that's what I thought. I can't afford to leave my current job. My in-laws are saying they'll help set up some business for my husband in his field and I can join him or search for a new job there. But in our current situation, it's not at all ideal. Can't take the risk now. Thank you for the reply. Edit. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to read my post and share your thoughts, advice, and support. I truly didn't expect this much response. I tried to reply to as many comments as I could, but I couldn't get to everyone. I'm a new mom and juggling a lot right now. My husband and I read all the comments together, and they really helped us reflect. More than anything, it made us realize that our priority has to be our little family's well-being. I genuinely appreciate every single comment and the kindness behind them. I'll update soon. Update 1. I wanted to add an update after a recent visit from my Phil, as it reinforced many of the concerns I mentioned in my original post. Before their visit, I asked my husband to remind my Phil to wash his hands before holding our baby, as this has been an ongoing issue in the past. Despite being told, my Phil took our baby from my arms immediately upon arriving without washing his hands. My husband had to ask him multiple times before he finally did so. During the visit, there were repeated comments about our baby being happy now that everyone is here and otherwise being all alone when it's just me and my husband with him. There was also another instance of my Phil refusing to acknowledge any resemblance between our baby and me, even when others, including my husband, pointed out obvious features like my hair. This turned into an unnecessary argument over something very trivial, which again made me feel dismissed. Later in the evening, alcohol was being consumed in the living room. While I'm personally uncomfortable with my baby being around drinking, I chose not to escalate the situation in front of guests, and instead kept my baby with me in the bedroom. At that point, my Phil made a comment framed as a joke about putting a few drops of alcohol in our 8-month-old baby's mouth so he could get a taste early, saying that everyone in the family drinks anyway. Both my husband and I immediately shut this down. My husband, who is a doctor, firmly told him that this was unsafe and unacceptable. My Phil dismissed it by saying nothing would happen, that it was costly whiskey, and that he had been given alcohol as a child and that it was supposedly good for gut health. Regardless of intent, this crossed a serious line for us. There were also a few other smaller boundary issues throughout the visit. We did not have a full conversation with my Phil at that time because my Mill was not present and my Phil was visiting with his brothers and sons. We felt it was more appropriate to address these issues privately and together, rather than in front of extended family or while alcohol was involved. After they left, I told my husband that I am no longer comfortable with the idea of ever living in the same house as his parents. If we were to move closer in the future, it would have to be in a separate home. My husband agreed. This visit confirmed that my discomfort isn't about minor disagreements or hurt feelings, but about repeated boundary violations and concerns around our child's safety and our authority as parents. We are aligned and will be setting firmer boundaries going forward. Update 2. We had a conversation with my in-laws, and I wanted to share how it went. My Mill spoke with us first over FaceTime. I explained how hurt we have been by certain behaviors and comments, especially from my Phil, and how they made us feel like our role as parents wasn't being respected. I also told her about the specific boundaries that had been crossed and why it affected us so deeply. To her credit, she listened without interrupting, acknowledged our feelings, and apologized sincerely. She said clearly that we are the parents and that no one has the right to make us feel otherwise. She then asked my Phil to join the call and repeated everything to him. He apologized as well and said he never intended to hurt us. Both of them said they would not repeat the behaviors we brought up. We also addressed the larger issue of living arrangements and our future plans. We told them that we will not be moving in with them and that we intend to continue building our life where we are now, as it is best for both our careers and our personal life. We made it clear that if they ever need our help, we will be there for them. At the same time, we set boundaries around our child. They are welcome to visit us and spend time with our baby as long as our role as parents is respected, and visits will be in our presence. We will also continue visiting them during holidays. They accepted this and reiterated that they would respect our decisions going forward. My husband and I are aligned, and while we know that maintaining boundaries is an ongoing process, this conversation felt like an important step in the right direction. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and perspective. It genuinely helped us approach this in a calm and constructive way. Also, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment on both my original post and the update. I truly appreciate the advice, perspectives, and support shared here. I've read every comment, even if I wasn't able to reply to all of them. Between work, caring for my baby, and everything else going on, I just didn't have the time to respond individually. Please know that your words meant a lot to me and helped us reflect and move forward more thoughtfully.